Today I'm excited to show you how to make a quick and easy hand towel. These make great gifts for housewarming parties, wedding showers, and baby showers. This is a quick and easy project, and I love quick and easy projects. All you need are your basic sewing supplies and a 1-inch scallop ruler and pusher by Quick Points Rulers. So let's get started. Today we'll be embellishing a hand towel that you can get from any store. For the scallop that we're going to add to the bottom, we're going to start with a 7-inch by width of fabric strip. We're going to put our fabrics right sides together and line up at the top and make sure you've got everything together. We're going to be using the 1-inch scallop ruler by Quick Points Rulers and just a marking pen. And we're going to mark about 1/2 inch away from the top, and we're going to trace on one side of this ruler all the way down. What we're trying to do is make this scallop just slightly, maybe 1 to 2 inches bigger than your towel. So you just trace. You're going to trace the outsides and each dot on one side. And now we need to pull this line all the way down on both sides. And now we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on the inside of the line you just drew, all the way around. And when you get to your point, you're going to make 1 stitch over and go another 1/4 inch. 1 stitch over, all the way to the very end. And now we've sewn around our scallop, and you can see the 1 stitch over. So now we're going to cut our scallop. We're going to cut between the stitch line and the marked line, which is approximately 1/8 of an inch. To finish cutting, we're going to cut to your stitch line, but not through your stitch line, and that is so when you turn it, your fabric will lay flat. Now we're going to press our scallop. On this side, we made our marks for our dots, and since we don't want to see those, we're going to iron on this side. You're going to take your fabric, flip it, and just put your fingers in and finger press out. I'm going to use a heavy non-flaking starch and just starch. Using the 1-inch scallop pusher by Quick Points Rulers, we're going to just push each scallop out. And I usually start on the second one, not the first one. That's a harder one to do. Push the pusher as tight as you can. Make sure your bottom seam is not showing through to your top so you don't have a duck pleat. And just press down. I let it sit for about 20 seconds. So it really sets it and it makes it look really pretty. And then I just keep going down. You know, you have to sometimes really work these. Just push it, make it look as round as you can, and iron it. And since we're using a lot of heavy starch, if any of your stitches are not perfectly round, if you push it in really strong, you're not going to be able to tell. Now we're going to trim our scallop. We're going to trim 4.5 inches away from the scallop and cut. So you line your ruler up with the edge of your scallop. And cut. And now your scallop is finished, and we're going to move on to our binding and accent strips. You need enough length to go around 3 sides of your towel. To make your bias tape, you're going to cut 2-inch by width of fabric strips and press your fabric in to make 1-inch finished double fold bias tape. For our towel, for the binding, we use 2 strips and join them together on the diagonal. Now we're going to make the double fold bias tape for our accent strip. You need enough length for the front of your towel and the back of your towel. You make it identical to the previous step. You cut your strip 2 inches by width of fabric, and for this towel we used 1 width of fabric strip. Next we're going to work on our scallop. We're going to trim it, sew it, and flip it. We're going to trim our scallop about 1/4 inch outside of the towel. When you're trimming, you want to get as many full scallops on your towel. Just use 1/4 inch on the edge of your towel and trim. And trim the other side. Now we're going to put right sides together and sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance down the side. Do not go past your original stitch line, and you're going to back stitch at the beginning and the end. After you've sewn your 1/4 inch seam, flip your fabrics out. Just press them like you did before. And now we're ready to attach the scallop to your towel. You're going to measure 3¼ inches from the bottom of your towel and draw a line. We're going to be using Jalili Apple Glue, and we're going to use the glue to draw a line right underneath your drawn line. You're going to place your scallop right on the line. Heat sets the glue, so you're going to press down. And now we're going to open this part up and just put 3 dots just so the top stays down. Now we're going to attach our binding. We're going to start, and then we're going to go all the way around the towel, and then we're going to stop right here. You're going to take your binding strips, and we're going to start about 1/8 of an inch under your scallop. And we're going to use a combination of glue and Clover Wonder clips to put these in place. We will be stitching this down at a later point. So you always glue on the bottom first, and I glue on the binding fabric. and then you heat set. This glue is water soluble, so once you wash the towel, there will be no more glue. And then on the top, I glue on the towel. And you don't need too much glue, just a little bit. When you get to the corner, I glue on the bottom. I glue on the right side and heat set that before I do my corner. And then you can either miter or do a 45-degree angle turn. And we're just going to worry about the top now. When you get to the end, you're going to trim your binding 1/8 of an inch below where your scallop fabric is. Just don't cut it too short. And then just finish your gluing. Now we're going to glue down our accent piece. We're going to start with the center of our accent strip and the center of the towel. And I'm going to glue right on the very top of the scallop. Now you'll flip your accent strip up and just press just to get it nice and flat. Make sure you like the way it looks and make sure it looks straight. If you like the way it looks, just glue some dots right on the towel. So now we're going to actually use pins, because when we flip this over, we need a guide on how to place it so when you stitch it down, it's perfectly straight. So I'm going to just put pins right above the strip, and you're going to use that as a placement guide when you flip over. And now you can see your pins, and you're going to use that as a guide to place your strip. So you'll glue right under it. So now you want to overlap maybe 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to come in about 1/2 inch from where the other one stopped and clip. And on the top I'm just going to put glue on the edge and fold under. And then I'm going to glue that down. And you can hardly even tell that there's a seam there. And now we're ready to put the finishing touches on the hand towel. We're going to just do some top stitching. You can use a decorative stitch or a straight stitch. You're going to use a walking foot and a 2.5 stitch length, and then matching thread. So first you're going to stitch down your accent fabric, just going about 1/4 inch around. You can use a straight stitch or a decorative stitch, and then you can stitch around your binding right along the edge. This towel has so many possibilities, and we can't wait to see what you make with it. Thanks for watching today.